friends, welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in this video, sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms, I'm going to show you Mighty Ganem Q8, who starts this at over 175 million power and gets completely zeroed. In this video, I'm going to give you the context, why it is that this player is getting zeroed. I'm also going to show you a bunch of the rallies and the rally reports. We'll look at the stats that they've got for defending, but I mean, they're not in an alliance, which means they are missing so many crucial stats. Now, if you like Rise of Kingdoms guides and videos designed to help you get value and smash your enemies, or in this case, you just like the popcorn of watching a high power player getting zeroed, consider subscribing to the channel. And in fact, I have a full playlist of videos just like this one. Now, over the course of the next 5 minutes or so, the footage I'm showing you will be sped up at about 150%. So it's a little bit faster than real-time speed, but let me actually tell you why it is that this high power player is getting zeroed. I am writing to inform you of the reasons for which Dr. Warrior Mighty Ganem has been zeroed. This, by the way, is a Kingdom mail, and I will show it to you in case you want to see it for your own eyes later on in the video. He lied about his gear, sent us fake screenshots. He didn't do anything KP-wise last KVK, barely even made 16% of his power as DKP. He walked out of ruins we had a fight in to get free honor. He let small players get crushed in the field while he stood and emoted. He wouldn't delete Siege or use it for a good purpose. He threatened many, and he committed to getting 300% DKP, that's dragon kill points. I'll talk about that more in a second. This time, and didn't. He said he sold his account, and he didn't. It's still the same original guy playing, and this is not even an exhaustive list of their offenses. Wow. So every time I have one of these videos, people say, oh, you know, it's not fair. Why are they getting zeroed? And even when I explain, they say it's not fair. Look, that's the full list of reasons from the King of the Kingdom in their Kingdom mail, or maybe it's an Alliance mail, but they essentially were not contributing in KVK. They committed to doing 300% of what you'd normally have to do to offset the fact that they had a weak KVK, and they didn't do it. And let me tell you something. As someone who's been King of the Kingdom, I have seen this over and over and over and over. I mean, I would say 90% of people who fail to meet a contribution requirement will move on to continue to fail to meet contribution requirements, even when they say they will do otherwise, and they say they will do double or triple or whatever. In this case, it was triple. It never happens, man. It is a very, very, very rare select few who miss on contribution. And typically, people who miss on contribution and then meet it later will tell you up front, like, hey, I had this thing going on, or I have this thing that's going to happen, so I won't hit my contribution requirement. So the most people who will actually move on to then contribute will tell you beforehand, like, hey, I have an obligation, and that's fine. My perspective has always been, if you can communicate your obligation, like, beforehand, ideally, or after, if you say, like, hey, this thing happened, then okay, whatever. But anyways, most people who miss their contribution requirement will not move on to meet it, and that's the case here. So this player wasn't contributing. At this point, they're down to 128 million power. And what I found so surprising is that because these rallies weren't particularly reinforced, and you'll notice this, even though we've got a double that's about to hit here, which is pretty cool, the overwhelming majority of these rallies are not getting a ton of reinforcements, so it takes a lot of rallies to get the job done. And I actually haven't looked at the reports yet, although I've downloaded them, so it's going to be really interesting to see how the trades are. This is happening, by the way, in KVK, and it's happening with troop return. In other words, 50% of this player's troops are going to be returned to them, and so are, by the way, the troops of the people doing the rallying. But it is going to be kind of interesting to have a player who, I mean, if he started this at 175 million, he'll still be like 125 million or so when he comes back and gets his troops back, which means, I mean, that's still a really high power player that you're going to have to deal with later. Now, players who make these sorts of mistakes, which is like being off territory and without a peace shield, I mean, it's possible they were kicked from the alliance, which is why they're rallyable here. So they might have been on territory and then they were kicked. Also, Because this is happening in KVK, I want to call your attention to the fact that you cannot loot resources from this player if they're from your own kingdom. So assuming that this is a player getting zeroed by their own kingdom, they're not taking any of his resources now, which means he's still going to have them to cause all kinds of mayhem later on. They do have a negative kingdom title on them, which is really great. I assume they have, big kingdom buffs on the people that are doing the rallying. They got all their tokens and that kind of stuff. And they try a real variety of rallies. I mean, we're looking at a Guan Sargon rally. I do not like rallying cities with Guan. I do not like rallying flags or forts with Guan. I don't think you should rally with Guan. Let me just say it like that. People have been trying to make this work for ages. So we can go look at that report later, and I'm kind of hyped to see, does it work out? Hopefully I have that particular report. There were a ton of these reports, by the way, and I do need to give a big shout out to Ghost, and that is Ghost from, and let me get his kingdom number from my Discord server here. Ghost from 2640. A big thank you to you and to your kingdom for letting me know this was happening and then sharing with me all the reports. And Ghost and others put in the legwork to get me these reports. So I really appreciate it. And I don't know, I kind of like going through reports to see what we can learn. But because this player's not in an alliance, they are missing a lot of stats. And we'll look at the stat breakdown of kind of what they've got here. I think that Xeno YSS, in this instance, is actually a really good garrison for defending his city. He's going to get zeroed either way. So the fact that Xeno is healing troops to bring them back into the fight at his level of power turns out to be a really good thing. And the YSS also is really good because when you're below 50% of troop strength, you get a boost. Well, he's going to be below 50% of troop strength every single time he gets burned. So I actually think that works out really well. This is one of the last rallies that I have recorded. Before I'll sort of shift gears here and start to show you reports. This is a Boudica rally. Let's see if we can peek the secondary. That's Boudica Tommy. Tommy is kind of an interesting choice here. I actually really like her for rallying cities. But paired with Boudica, I mean, I guess it's fine. This would be a really insane rally if they were double rallying, because the skill damage taken debuff stacking is just really nice for a double situation. And, by the way, in a multi-rally context, Tommy is the secret tech that makes reports just go boom. I mean, totally insane. Totally insane. So there's the last rally. It finishes up, at least that we're going to look at. Ethel tries to get a hit there and gets shredded. They're down to 90 million power. I do have the rally reports from the subsequent rallies, so let's get a look at that now. Okay, here we are in the reports. And by the way, if you like the editing that I did at the start of the video, if you could do me a huge favor and throw a like on the video, that would support the channel tremendously. I really like doing those edits, but they take a really long time. I'm getting better and better at them. But anyways, here we go. 13 million troops in the city. They have 74,000 die, and their hospital starts to fill up. 248,000 die for the rally, and that's a Skippy Tariq ibn Ziyad rally, which I don't particularly think Skippy is a great commander to rally a city with. They've also got here 11.9 million in the city at this point, and that's 1 million dead for the city, 500,000 dead in the rally. Obviously, Nevsky and Joan is a really sick rally, so did very well. 2-for-1 trade. Xeno YSS, 11.6 million in the city. I think this is a double rally. Yeah, this is a double. And 225,000 die for the XY Nevsky. 458,000 die for the city. Up next, 310,000 die for the rally. That's an XY Nevsky. And then 671,000 die for the city. They still are getting Sev wounded, which is kind of weird. 10.9 million in the city at this point. Now they're down to 9.9 million in the city. They have 585,000 die. The rally is Tariq ibn Ziyad with Pakal. 290,000 die for the rally. From there, 99,000 die for an XY Nevsky and inflict 922,000 dead troops. This has got to be a multi-rally. Has to be. 9 million troops in the city. And then, well, let me check. I assume that's a multi-rally to have done so damn well. 113,000 die for another Skippy Tariq ibn Ziyad rally. 552,000 die in the city. Here are the stats for the city, by the way. And they have the YSG Garrison skill, which is a okay skill for defending your city. And Guan's third skill, 30% infantry attack, a heal when you leave combat. I mean, this is not a great skill to have as a support skill for your city. Let me just put it like that. You can see the stats on your screen here. The infantry attack is pretty high, but just keep in mind they're missing all of the attack and defense boosts, all the stat boosts you get from being in an alliance, which is pretty brutal. So even if their tech is maxed, which it isn't, by the way, because they only have 7% all damage, they're in trouble. They're in a world of hurt, and they have no iconics. So if they do have any equipment on, and I don't know that they do, they don't even have any iconics on that equipment, which is pretty rough. From here, there's 7.7 million troops in the city, 877,000 die in the city, 188 for the rally, and that's an XY Nev. Next rally, okay, Guan Sargon, 261,000 die to the 521,000 in the city at 6.3 million troops left. So you can see just how bad the Guan rally is compared to the XY rally, right? Like that's 200,000 to 900,000 versus over here, we've got 250 to 500. So the trade quality is way worse here. Also, some amount of Sev wounds again. I wonder if the city is maybe getting... No, it couldn't get reinforced by anybody. They're not an alliance. I don't know. Like, why are they getting some slightly wounded troops? The 490 slightly wounded troops here? That's curious. I kind of wonder what's going on. 71,000 for the rally here. That's a Nevsky Joan. And then we're looking at 525,000 for the city. That's a brutal rally. Now they're getting so low on troops that anything will just work. XY Nevsky, 132,000 to 617,000. Honestly, we're at the point where I think Attila Takeda probably could be the swap in. They're down to 46 million troops left, so they're under 100 million power at this point. 291,000 die in the Boudica Tommy rally that we were watching toward the end there. 963,000 die in the city. That rally did very well. Not as good as some of the other rallies we were looking at, but it still did good. 206,000 for the Guan Skippy to 1 million in the city. But at this point, they're so low on troops, right? 3.7 million in the city. Now they're at something like 80 million power. So you'd expect the rallies to get, again, more and more punchy and the trades to get better and better. Tadek Ibn Ziyad Sargon, they really throw like the kitchen sink at this dude. Like, it's just, like anything you could throw, they give it a try. 123,000 to 827,000. By the way, they get swarmed out at the end here. So getting totally shredded. And I love that an alliance chat, they're saying that's beautiful. People make this game fun, dude. Let's go. Here's that Kingdom Mail I was telling you about. It is a Kingdom Mail. I wasn't sure if it was Alliance or Kingdom Mail earlier. Yeah, it's a Kingdom Mail where they explain kind of what this player was up to. And this is the final portion of that mail, which it didn't read earlier. We've shown Grace more times than he deserved. We'll have to deal with the 50% troop return later, but it will be easier than 13 million T5 troops. This is what happens when you don't listen to, and their name is Sexy, so there you go. Any questions, please message me directly. Dang. If you enjoyed this video, do me a huge favor, throw a like on here, consider subscribing. If you want to see more videos just like this one that are really entertaining, high power players getting zeroed, cards will be in the end screen for you in just a second, including some big rivalries I've had in the past. I think you will enjoy these videos.